I hope that you can all hear me. I am Lidia Borrell, the Director for Research and Innovation at the European University Association, and I will introduce this webinar and also manage the time and question and answer session. I would like, first of all, to introduce you the program. I hope you all have received it. First of all, we will hear Professor Jean-Pierre, who is sitting in Nancy in France. He will introduce the subject of open science, which is an area that EUA has been working on from its very beginning, when it took shape at European levels in end of 2013, beginning of 2014. He will speak in general what open science is, or what we understand about open science from the university perspective. And you will be able to pose him some questions through the chatting area that you should be able to see at the bottom right corner of your screen. Then we will pass the word to two practitioners of open science, Professor Isabelle Halleux, Director for Research and Development at the University of Liège, and Simona Stirbu, a doctoral candidate who is fully into the domain of open science and open access, and she will tell us in first person her experience. We will have another question and answers session then, and we will do sort of closing remarks. Unfortunately, David Oliva Uribe, the head of the EUA Council for Doctoral Education, is ill, is unwell, so he cannot be there, but we had Brecht, his colleague, who will be able to jump in and also participate in the dialogue as needed. So we are here in, you see now Brecht in the camera. I think that, and this is Simona, and that is next to her is Isabelle. So I think we are now all ready to hear you, Jean-Pierre, who is talking from Nancy, from France. So please, Jean-Pierre, the floor is yours. You can share the screen, I think, with your presentation.
Thank you, Lidia. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome also you on this webinar session, and I will try to start in defining very generally what is the so-called open science. At first, you know, the concept of open access is now quite a very well concept, which encapsulates different scientific, pedagogical, economic, societal, and therefore strategic issues. And as you know, the basic idea of open access related to access that is open, free, and that includes all scientific results. Not only publication was the first things being open, but also research data. Open access is also to able us to consider as a way to overcome the dominance of big publishers, because you know the very tricky question concerning the economical evolution of publishing. But more deeply, it seems that open access is also a new ways to do research, to develop research method. And consequently, after the concept of open access mostly devoted to research publication and research data, comes the new concept of open science. The principle of open science is to increase to the transparency and the openness of results of research, of data, of evaluation, the result, for example, of peer review process, and more generally of the scientific approach. More precisely, the objectives of open science are to encourage collaboration and to avoid duplication of effort, increasing the efficiency, to promote the validation of results, to facilitate the exploitation of past research results, improving in this way the quality of results, to make science more accessible and facilitate the participation of citizens and of civil society, increasing in this way the transparency of the scientific approach and access to results, to promote, which is a very important question, the scientific integrity, and also to accelerate innovation, allowing to make a fast commercialization of innovation, implying quicker growth. How to develop open science? One of the way is to modify strongly the publication process by introducing new publication models like transforming the use of journal article and allowing new form of scientific communication. For example, not only to have a publication based on journals, but quite often on article by itself, and also to introduce new economics models, who pay and who buys, for example, through introverted model where the researcher has to pay and not too much to have to buy. What are the role of the public power in this new economic model, and what is the role of private entity? Another point concerns the evolution of scientific practice, and we are, from my point of view, at the starting point of this very important and revolutionary process, developing more collaborative work, access to computerized database and research data, and allowing search, mining, and analysis. This evolution of scientific practice concerns also the development of participative science, that is involving more public, more peoples, not only scientific one, but also other people in the society. And finally, as I said already, strengthening scientific integrity. A third question concerns the evolution in assessment method. I will come back later on this point, which appears to me as very, very important. And finally, the need to implement technical infrastructure. That is, we need to develop platform, clouds, data center, networks. For example, the project of European Open Science Cloud is a kind of answer to this important question. But it is also to develop standards, interoperability. If I come back and go more in detail concerning the method of evaluation and of scientific publication, the main question is how to assess. How to assess publication, how to evaluate the work of researcher, how to evaluate research projects, etc. And the first step is for sure to abandon a very bad criterium, which is the impact factor. As you know, impact factor was invented by Borrell-Damián, not really to help a researcher, but just to choose the good journals that the researchers want. That is not at the beginning a criterium for evaluation of research, but just to measure the interest of people on such or such journal. A second point is to revisit the current peer review practices. You know, we certainly need to evolve strongly from the current practice with very small people having in charge to review the article, the papers, or to review a project, but transforming, if we can, this specific mode of evaluation into other practice. For example, there is a lot of work on the concept of open peer review, needing more transparency of evaluation with or without anonymity of reviewers. Another point is the crowd sourcing review, which is a review involving more people in the evaluation of a paper. For the new models to emerge, engagement of at all levels, is needed. First of all, the involvement of researchers. There are at the core of evolution in research method, evaluation method, and of people. And it is a very important challenge. But if we want to achieve full open access requirement, the mobilization of researcher community at large is absolutely needed. We should be based on a novel model for research and career assessment. It needs to include robust incentive system, and it is necessary to ensure a quick transition and take-up of open access across disciplines. Researchers should be encouraged to exchange views and experiences on open access on a broad base and perceive this dialogue as an integral part of their activity. The second point is the need to involve institutions. And as for researchers, you understand that if we want to modify the research method, but also to have other evaluation of researchers, the and mainly evaluation of researchers in the context of career management of researchers, we need to have a strong involvement of the rector, president, vice chancellor of institution. it's the case for also for recruitment, for organization of research team, and in financing. But finally, if we want to accompany this evolution, we need also at European level to have more involvement, for sure, of the public system compared to the involvement of the European Commission and European Union, but also with the involvement of stakeholders. And I will give you an example of involvement of stakeholders, for sure, is the involvement of EUA. EUA, as Lidia said, is involved in open access in open science for several years and acts now as a major university stakeholder with a key role at multiple levels, at policy level, at national, from national to European level, at economic and financial level, and trying through this way to regaining scientific sovereignty, that is keeping the capacity to decide not through the private publishers, but through the private, the public system. And finally, at university level, EUA develops several actions willing to support university digital policy. EUA set up a roadmap on open access with several objectives, promoting and supporting the adoption of open access policy infrastructure initiative by European University in dialogue with stakeholders, considering, as I already said, alternative and sustainable open access economical model, addressing the question, the tricky question of intellectual property rights and copyright policy, encouraging and supporting and eventually monitoring the establishment of comprehensive standards for institutional open access policy concerning research publication, and not only from a research point of view, but also for a teaching point of view. Currently, the activity and the upcoming activity and action concern the to accompany the work, the action of European Union. For example, one of the members of our expert group on open access, Professor Norbert Lossau, Vice President of the Göttingen University, is an active, is a member of the Open Science Policy Platform set up by European Union, the Commission. Currently, the expert group and EUA address several points, university institutional open access policy, and we organize for the fourth year a consultation, a survey of open access policy in European University. I'm not sure we will have the time to present the result of this survey, but it's very important to see the increasing number of universities giving data about their involvement in open access of general manner, research assessment, as I tried to explain, research data management, text and data mining, citizen science. the EUA expert group, which has been setting up 2 years or 3 years ago, is strongly involved in this way. And also the group on doctoral education, the council, EUA Council on Doctoral Education, is also involved in this domain. And I think it will be the next presentation of this seminar concerning the experience in the University of Liège on this point. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, for this excellent presentation of open science and the work of EUA. We have received a question. I think that other members are typing. We can see them coming. One first question was that how does open science strengthen research integrity?
It's a very good question.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, research integrity concerns several things, including falsification of research data, concerning the plagiarism, and for sure, when the research data are open, it's possible to renew experimentation based on this data, and to see if these data are correct or falsified. It's an example. The plagiarism can be avoided from some point of view if also the access to publication is fully open, because it's possible to compare such new document with the last one.
Thank you. We received another question. It says, what activities are currently being done in the area of text and data mining?
Okay. From several points of view, one more political point of view concerns the right to develop mining method. I will give you an example. When we are negotiating with private publishers, up to now, for most of the contract, it's impossible for the researcher to access to the database of publication, and moreover, to develop their own mining algorithm. A negotiation with publishers which are pushing inside the expert group could have as a result to import in our national or public platform the publication, the database of publication, and to develop our own algorithm, which is included in the contract with the publisher. And for example, it's an example where EUA is pushing in this direction. Another point is to be aware on the all experiments which are developed in our labs at European level.
Very good, thank you. We have received another question, is how do you plan to involve researchers?
Yes. Through seminars, not only at EUA level, but encouraging the National Rector Conference to organize seminar on this domain, but also to try to develop more specific seminar at European level on questions like copyright, for example, which is the need to make more aware researcher of the point, of this tricky point of copyright. But also, researcher could be, can be, should be involved in negotiation with publishers. You know, in several countries, there are some kind of consortia in charge to negotiate for the whole country or for a subset of the country. It's very important that the researcher become a member of the negotiation team and avoiding that the negotiation will be his only, matter of publishers from one side and bibliotarian from the other side.
Very good. I think maybe another questions. Yes. Sorry, yeah, I can read it out of the screen. Can you make it, please?
Yes.
Yeah. The question is two questions actually coming from two different people. Is how can researchers make their voice heard? And if researchers want to get involved, how can then be involved?
I already tried to give an answer. The point is, from my point of view, to have at national level or regional level an organization allowing to think and to act on this domain. And I think it's the responsibility of the president, rector, vice chancellor, vice rector for research to involve researcher both in the reflection, in the seminar, but also in action, as I already said.
Okay, thank you. I think we are right on time, and at this point, everybody is free to put more questions, which we can recover at the end. I think now it's time to pass the word to Isabelle.
Yeah.
Isabelle Halleux, Director for Research and Development at the University of Liège in Belgium.
I'm just arriving to my presentation, so let's see. Yeah, so here we are. And so hi everybody. So I'm Isabelle Halleux, and I would like to focus on doctoral education. This is expected from me tonight. It doesn't mean that the University of Liège doesn't involve all the researchers in the open science and open access initiative, but today I will speak about the practical insight at the University of Liège. The University of Liège is a French-speaking university that is located close to the German and Dutch border, and perhaps we can be qualified as a cross-border university. But our neighbor doesn't speak the same language as we speak. And it's very important for us to work. And my colleague Simona will show you how the language used in open access can be of interest for the young research. So the initiative in open access and open science is not new in Liège. So since 12 years ago, we still had initiatives by creating an open repository of doctoral dissertations. It was really important to give an access to the results and the work of the PhD students and to ask them to put to send and to give access to their work through the Bigtel repository. 2 years after, in 2007, we created a self-constructed, self-programmed open repository that is called Orbi. And now we have 150,000 references in this repository and about 100,000 full text documents available to the world. And it's very important to train and support the people to do that and to convince and give value to all the researchers to what they can have put and give in the repository. And it's very useful also for us at the university because we use the repository as the only one CV on what is produced by the researcher for the evaluation of the researcher, but also of the research project we support internally. And so where are we now? So in 2017, we are working on open data because it's very important and also required within the framework of the Horizon 2020 programs to put the publications and the results, but also to put the data and to give availability to the data. A lot of people are working on open innovation. It means that you work with all the people that can give you some input in research. And it's not only research, it can be innovators, companies, and also perhaps all the people and all the person that can give you some stimulation for producing innovation. Open source is also well implemented, and we were awarded of the MIT for our open source in hospital sharing of radiography and information. And what we have developed focused on the PhD students, but not only on PhD students, some trainings and seminars. And I will give the floor to Simona. She is a doctoral candidate at the University of Liège, and she will introduce yourself because I think that it's important to show to you that you can combine a career as a librarian and also a PhD on open access and open source.
Yes, thank you, Isabelle. Hello, everybody. I am Simona Stirbu, and I'm a scientific librarian for the Geosciences Library at the University of Liège. As Isabelle already said, I am a PhD candidate in sciences. In fact, the main subject of my thesis is at the crossroads between geography and information literacy. So I will have the opportunity today to present some open access aspects for the geographers' publications in Orbi. And I will give some insights on open science from a PhD candidate point of view. So at the University of Liège, doctoral candidates are formed and encouraged to use open source tools. Open source tools I mainly use in my researches and analyses are Bibliographical References Manager as Zotero, Mendeley, which is recommended, and Site You Like, bibliographic researches in search engines, free search engines like Google Scholar, directory of open access journals, and directories of open access books, which are complementary to our disciplinary or multidisciplinary commercial databases as GeoRef, Lista, and Scopus. I also use statistical programs like R, which are alternatives to the well-known Statistica or SPSS or GMP, and also mapping tools as QGIS, GIS, OpenLayers, OpenStreetMap, which are alternative to ArcGIS. Concerning open access, archiving the scientific papers and research articles in the ULG institutional repository is mandatory. And for this, trainings are often organized by the ULG library team on open access advantages, registering publications, procedures, and very important, Orbi statistics usage. Because we have altmetrics, we have the possibility to do reports and follow the users of our publication, who downloaded, who viewed our publication, and maybe put out some more statistics from this data. PhD candidates are also encouraged to promote their research papers via the scientific communication tools as ResearchGate, Mendeley, or academia.edu, OrcID, or social media for scientists as Twitter or LinkedIn. This has to be done with caution, of course, and we have to respect the publisher requirements when needed. Publication practices are open access publications are encouraged lately at the University of Liège, but there are some contradictions because as one of the chapters of my thesis concerned open access, I first wanted to publish my article in an open access journal. Then we realized that the Doctoral College of Geography imposed the publication of at least one article in an impact factor journal to be able to defend our thesis. So I was obliged to publish my article in an impact factor journal. I will now present some maps which are realized with usage statistics from Orbi for geographical literature of the members of the Department of Geography at the University of Liège. The maps presented were realized with views and download statistics of a sample of 68 articles in French and 82 articles in English. On the map displayed, you can easily notice that the visualization and downloads of the geographical references usage concentrates on Europe, US, and Canada, even if the most of these countries have access to bibliographic databases. We think that several factors could favor references usage. A mutual language, French in our case, the difficulty of accessing the scientific literature, bibliographic databases in countries with no possibilities of subscription, and the literature missing in the bibliographic databases, articles which are published in national or regional journals, which is the case for the Department of Geography, who publish a lot of their articles in the Bulletin de la Société Géographique de Liège, mostly in French. I will now show you the French references usage over the world. The French articles recorded about 60% of visualization and 57% of the downloads, and are most viewed and downloaded by the French-speaking countries from the West Europe, mainly Belgium and France, as you can see on the map, Canada, and French-speaking African countries. These articles, French articles, count a more important usage due probably to the specificity of the case studies, and for the French-speaking African countries, possibly the difficulty of access to the scientific literature. English references, you will see now on the map, recorded 40% of the visualization and 53% of downloads. We remark a more important usage of the English articles by users from English-speaking countries as United States, United Kingdom, and Australia. Countries where English language is commonly spoken and used, like China, India, and Central and Eastern Europe. But we remarked also that the English articles are ignored by the English-speaking African countries. Case studies which are focused on remote sensing and global warming for the English articles have a different character compared to French articles, and this fact certainly influences on the usage of this literature. The main findings of our analysis are that the frequent publication of English articles in impact factor journals does not increase the usage of the English geographical literature. The higher usage of the French references is probably due to the local character of the case studies and their publication in French national journals, which are not indexed by the bibliographical commercial databases. Countries most viewing and downloading geographical references from ORBI are French-speaking and developing countries for these samples of articles. I don't know which is the situation for the entire repository. A comparison must be done maybe to have an idea. So French-speaking and developing countries who don't have access to commercial bibliographical databases are important users of articles from our institutional repository. Articles' language and the specificity of the case studies could play an important role in the article's usage over the world. And the most important, researchers have to upload their references in the institutional repository when possible. This will allow a more important visibility and usage of their scientific literature and their publication. I think Mrs. Halleux will finish the presentation now.
So I'm coming back to what we are doing at the University of Liège, mostly in doctoral training. What is really important is to offer some training to the PhD students. It is accountable for the university, and it's important for us to give credits to those trainings, and also to have and to give them the opportunity to plan their evolution and to answer their needs when they need it. So you have there on the slide some of the training action we are developing on a 2 times per year basis. But we can also add the thing. Important to give it in English, because about 40 of our PhD students are English speaking, but 60% of them are French speaking. So we offer the training in both languages. We have also some boost action, because as you know, and some of you mention it on the comments, that open access, what is it? It's an open access for the reader, but not necessarily an open access for the writer. So most of the PhD students have to find money for paying their access to the open access publication. And now it's not a question of having a budget at the level of the university, but providing the young researchers and the researcher the budget for being able to cover the publication cost. The recognition is also very important. So in the framework of the PhD students, do we give value to open access and what is of added value for them when you require a peer-reviewed or 2 peer-reviewed publication before being awarded the PhD, graduated as PhD. So ORBI is mandatory for all the researchers. What is done internally and externally doesn't exist from the point of view of the university if it is not in our repository. So it means that we can boost the process at the level of the institution by having an institutional commitment, not only from the researcher, but also a very strong support from the authorities and for the board of the university. But it means also at the same time that we have to try and to give funding to the researchers for enabling them to publish in open access. We have also to consider that open access, open science, open data is one of the essentials for research. So up to now, at the 21st century, not publishing in open access can be considered as a mistake. But we have also to give recognition for that and to recognize in the CV of the researcher and the merit for the open access publication. We have to provide them tools for publishing or for working with the repository, but also to be able to give them functionalities. We had a very strong discussion not far from today about the last authors in open access. Are they recognized? Do they belong? Are they recognized as such? And how can we give those tools of functionalities to the researcher in order to let recognize and know about their contribution to the publication? We have also to provide support to the authors. A support means that you must help them to understand, but also perhaps to choose the best open access repository you can choose, and to avoid what is a lack of communication. I wrote bad communication, but it means that a lack of communication is the same as having a bad communication on open access. We have also to support and to monitor what is done, and also to offer it as a career perspective. So I've divided the two aspects in two columns: what can boost the process, but also what can slow down. And what you can see, what can boost is mostly the availability of tools, the institutional commitments, what the institution can do, but also what can slow down is more linked to the recognition of the researchers and to the rewarding of the researchers. So the question is on the floor, or on incentive versus rewarding, and it's a very strong recognition. The last thing I would like to point out is that at the University of Liège, we organize staff training. We will have the next one at the beginning of May on open access, because it's very important to involve the researcher, but also the administrative staff and the academic staff from the other university, and together to discuss on some issues. And this was my last slide. I'm going back with one of the sentences taken from Bengartz in the last OCDE Bulletin publication. There is no alternative today to open access, but there is no science if we don't have an open one. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Isabelle and Simona, for these excellent talks and being so clear with your experience and your views. We have received a number of questions, some of them controversial, but I think first of all, a clarifying question, I think for you, Isabelle. A person wanted to know more about what it means, automated reporting using ORBI.
So it means that within ORBI, we have by sector, so human sciences, social sciences, and health sciences, and science and technique, just like we agreed with the researcher on how to have an output, so a report of what is in the database, depending of the importance we give to some publication. So for instance, writing a book is very important, of being a coordinator, a publisher of a book is very important in the social sciences or human sciences, but it's more important for the people in the health sciences to focalize on the high impact factor journals and high citated publication. So they can report about their CV, and they can choose the type of report they would like to use. We decide to give some importance to items, but you can also choose not to publish such information, because in the repository we can have some courses, some notes, or what you would like to share in open access can be put in the repository. So conference, short notes, some reports of activities, and so on. So that we don't give the same value if we proceed to a promotion of researcher, evaluation of researcher, if you would like to evaluate some fundamental research project or regional impact project and so on.
Good, thank you. I think I have a next question now for Simona, I think. There are several comments we heard from several participants about Mendeley, ResearchGate, and all these tools, because many of them came with a comment that after all, these tools are owned by private hands. So to what extent we can consider these open?
Well, at the beginning, they were open. And after that, Mendeley was bought by Elsevier, and also ResearchGate, which is not open anymore. Maybe I wasn't clear when I said we are not encouraged to upload our literature and our references on these tools. We have to make ourselves visible. So we are encoding. I am encoding the metadata of my publication on these tools, but I'm not uploading articles on these tools because it's controversial, of course. I understand in the comments.
Yeah, because a follow-up question was like how these tools relate to copyright agreements with publishers. Do they go along those copyright agreements, or do kind of defy them?
I think they, from my point of view, I have an article on ResearchGate, and I always receive encouragement to upload the full text. I don't do this because full text is on Orbi, and I wanted to be consulted via our repository. Yes, it is conflictual with. It's a controversial subject, and there are some questions who need to be answered from this point of view, of course.
Good. I'm moving to another topic, another question raised by another participant. The article processing charges in hybrid journals, are they eligible for funding at the University of Liège? Do you support that kind of journal?
So what we do is to try to give the young researcher, and we are speaking about the PhD students, to help them to publish as soon as possible and as openly as possible their information. So we do not enter in the debates of being eligible or not. What is important is to ask and to, as quickly and as soon as possible, to provide or to give to the PhD researcher the opportunity to publish their results. And open access is also a space where they can publish their negative results. And it's also very important to mention it. So it's quite a question of habit. Yes, having the habit to think that the research results are for the world and not only for the peers.
Yeah. A question, and maybe here also I would like to invite Jean-Pierre, if he wants to come in at any moment, please wave at us, and we can also give you the opportunity to respond. A question we received is more about the role of national funders.
Yeah.
How do you think they are helping open sources, and if there are any budgets for that?
I think that they have to moderate and perhaps also to act at two levels. The first one regarding our topics today is the question of using open source system or providing some information. So in the Walloon region, so the French-speaking part of Belgium, it's mandatory from the founders to use open access and open software when we get some public money. So it's different with a private company, of course. And the second one maybe that can be mentioned is also that the National Research Fund has decided that the value of an open access publication or publication cost has not to exceed 7,000 euros. So it means that within the framework of the project, only €7 per publication is eligible to the project. So it means that they think that this is the value, and if 3,000 is required, it means that we are playing the game of the market of open access. And it's a very strong position, and also defended by the university. So we give the same, more or less the same amount for eligibility, and we encourage the young researchers to provide and to put their publication more, let's say, open or less expensive, but with the same quality open access platform, and that's why we have to help them to find the best opportunity regarding the cost.
Okay, thank you. Jean-Pierre, would you like to come in?
No, I agree with the fact that the public funder at national or European level have to make obligatory the fact to publish in open access all results coming from the public funding project. But I have still a question about the use of gold open access and APC, because through this obligation, with a fund coming from public system, some researcher can decide by herself or himself to publish through APC. And a very important question at this time is the fact that the amount, the cost of APC is not mastered at institutional level and or at national level. And we have to face a real question when the decision to use APC is taken only at a researcher level, because we see an increasing capacity of private publishers to completely control the system.
We just received a long explanation of a participant that's sharing a situation, particularly in the physics domain. But I think that it is a long one, so maybe you can read it before the end of the session or copy paste it in your computers. But one question that we can extract from the comment he made is that, wouldn't it be better if money spent on publications would be spent on research itself?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
That's a big question, yeah.
That's the big question. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, tell me, please.
Yeah, yes. Say it.
It is a very big question, and a lot of debates have to be done on this subject. It's research and the publication system in generally has to be reviewed, and something has to be done with the publication system here. But indeed, it's controversial for the moment.
It is. Jean-Pierre, anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think one of the important questions around this seminar was the position of researchers. And I think the researchers and the point of view of researchers should be the main question in order to make some evolution of the system. Going out of the impact factor and the high level reputation journal, going more easily in open access will, I think it's very, very important to make the researcher more aware. The point is, depending on the scientific domain, the behavior are not exactly the same. And we need to go more deeply in understanding the willingness of a researcher in such or such community.
Okay, very good. Just one last comment. I think some participant with initials HBH said that we should invest more in archive-like platforms, cutting out publishers gaining money because of open access obligations, as is the Wellcome Trust. Is that a good example, do you think?
Yeah.
When you think in your respective domains?
I don't know if it is a good example because I don't have enough, let's say, experience on that. What I can say that we have not to forget that most of the research will be available for the research company, private company, and so on. By working in open access, they will prove that they are aware of the stakeholders, but not only the peers. And I think it's also very important to ask and to work with the researcher, but in the perspective that only a few of them will be involved in the academic institution, and most of them will be part of the civil society. And I think that it's very, very important also to keep it in mind, even if the publisher are gaining money, even if the institution are spending a lot of money. What is important, I think, is to let the science be an open one, as Bernard said it, and invite the researcher as soon as possible through all what is possible to involve their experience and their point of view, and considering that the society has to benefit from the results of the research.
Thank you. I think this is a very good note to put an end to this fantastic session. Do you agree, Jean-Pierre? Any final comments from your side?
I think I agree completely with Isabelle. I think it's we are in a good way, because I think more and more people are sensible to this question. But at the same time, I think the machinery coming from the private sector is also increasing in power. You gave the example of Mendeley. We have exactly the same. I noted that Elsevier about also Plume, which is a small company devoted to altmetrics.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think we need to be not behind the effort of this company, but we have to be before.
Very good. I think this has been a very good session. I would like to thank Jean-Pierre, Isabelle, and Simona for their excellent talks. Also the participants for their contributions. I would just like to wrap up by saying that I think the universities are really working towards open science, and I think this is a very good. We have seen a very clear example here from University of Liège. Just to inform you that this webinar has been recorded and it will be available in our website as of early next week, probably 4th April. That's the date that we are aiming at, 4th, 5th, something like that. I would now like to pass the word to my colleague Brecht, because he will present the next webinar, just in case you would be interested to know more about it. So very short presentation, Brecht, please.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you. My name is Brecht Salen. I'm filling in for David Oliva Uribe, who is sick today, unfortunately. I work for the Council for Doctoral Education, and I can only join Lidia in thanking the presenters today. The Council for Doctoral Education, we work very heavily on open science, digitalization in general as one of the key policy topics. And we work very actively with our members to exchange good practices. So that's why we're very happy to have Université de Liège here presenting their experiences with open science. And I'd just like to flag two ways recently in which the Council has worked with its members, or is going to work with its members in exchanging those good practices again and again. One, I was very happy you already referred to, Isabelle, is the bulletin. In the winter of 2016, we published the Doctoral Education Bulletin explicitly on open access. And because it was on open access, we actually made it open access. So it is freely available on the EUA website for download. A second thing that you can see on the slides, if we can go back one slide.
Back one.
Yes, thank you. Is the upcoming annual meeting for EUA CDE, which will focus on doctoral education and harnessing digital possibilities. Again, we will have our members there exchanging good practices, but we will also have panel discussions, plenary discussions from academic leaders, from policymakers at the European and the national level, giving their insight into how to harness digital possibilities in doctoral education. This meeting will take place 15th and 16th of June in Tallinn. It's hosted by the University of Tallinn. And I have to say that registrations are now open via the website of EUA. And then finally, if we can go to the next slide, thank you. I have to announce the upcoming EUA webinar on the 26th of April, the next one, which will focus on the institutional evaluation program, presenting what it is all about. The IEP is a part of EUA, and it is not a part of EUA. It's a quality assurance agency that focuses on improvement-oriented peer reviews. And the webinar at the end of April will present to people who are interested both the philosophy and the methodology behind IEP, and also present its impact on one of the institutions that have already been evaluated. So with that, again, my thanks to everyone, especially the participants today, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
Oops.
Well, let's see what. Yeah, 2 minutes.